What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman vs. Kong. So we have this pack of the collaboration between DC and Legendary Comics where they mixed up the Justice League facing off against Kong and Godzilla. So that's pretty cool. So introducing the Monsterverse. So we get the little Monsterverse logo down there at the bottom. So we get this nice 2-pack where we get Kong. So a nice big figure of Kong. I don't think he's going to move too much though, but you know, with a big figure like this, that doesn't really matter too much, but it just looks cool to have a big Kong figure. And then we get a Batman to go along with it. So a DC Multiverse figure of Batman, but then we also get the McFarlane Page Puncher little Batman figures, so like the 3-inch Batman as well, so you could like put that in Kong's hand to have him like swinging around or hold on to him, whatever you want with that. So that's pretty cool that it comes with the little Batman as well, and of course an additional head for Kong, so that's all awesome. We can spin around, see of course our logo there of Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, and then a picture on the back there from the comic series as well, Batman with Kong there in the background like coming after him, so that looks pretty cool. So pretty awesome pack, especially getting Kong in a DC Multiverse figure. So let me go and get this open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So we're going to start off looking at Kong first, but to go back to the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong storyline, it was a 7-issue comic series that was a collaboration between DC Comics and Legendary Comics. This was a crossover of the Justice League with the Monsterverse, and when the Justice League had a confrontation with the Legion of Doom, a barrier between the worlds opened and Godzilla and Kong emerged on Earth. So that all sounds pretty cool. So of course we get this pack that is Kong versus Batman, and I assume they'll eventually be doing a Godzilla versus Superman, which of course I think is a classic storyline anyways, but it's cool to get this Kong here. Of course it's more of like a vinyl figure, at least that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if it's actual vinyl plastic or what the plastic's made of exactly, but it's pretty much just a hollow figure and it has very little movement, which does stink. I wish it'd be able to move a little more, but it does look really cool. It's really big. I don't know exactly how tall it is, maybe close to a foot tall, 10 inches to a foot, probably somewhere around there, but looks really cool for Kong. Now of course I personally am a big fan of like Godzilla and Kong, especially like the newer movies. Well, I should say at least the first Godzilla movie and Kong Skull Island. Everything after that I felt's been pretty stupid, but I just love Godzilla and King Kong, just have ever since I was a kid. So love getting a figure of Kong here, just looks so cool. Of course he is a big gorilla, so we get the big gorilla head. This came with the mouth open, like teeth and tongue, you can see all that there, very angry look on his face. Love all his hair. So he has like this really dark brown, but then has a light sort of blondish wash over the top. You can really see it there on his arms, but it kind of spreads throughout the body. It's just not as noticeable. We get his bare chest that has nice like claw marks there across his chest, so been in fights, maybe Godzilla did that. But we get an open hand and a fisted hand, and then we just get this normal feet. So standing there, they don't move or anything, so at least thankfully he stands pretty flat. At least there's not like much rock to it, there's just a little, but he stands up pretty easily, and overall just looks really cool in this big form. But we can do his movements, so his head will twist around. Now it may be hard with his fur and everything, but his head should be able to twist around there. Again, like I said, with the fur and everything, it's kind of weird. And then rocking is pretty much nothing, although I feel like the way it's designed there should be, but it's just a little bit of movement back and forth there. Then we go to the arms, which the only thing they really do is spin around, so you get them to spin around. They don't come up or anything like that. We do get some wrist movements as well, so the wrist can twist all the way around. Again, that's about it. And rock back and forth, I forgot about that, so that's pretty nice too. So it has a little bit of movement there, so twist and a little bit of rock. Then we get a twist at his waist as well, so you can see that cut out there, so we can just sort of twist around there side to side, and that's really all we get. We don't get anything with the feet or legs. I wish we at least had, you know, some movements here in the hips just to move his legs back and forth or something. So that's really all we get. So again, not a whole lot to this, doesn't really work out and function the best obviously, but with a big figure like this, you know, I'm not really too surprised, but it looks cool overall. Now he does also come with an additional head, and for me, I think I like this head much more. It just reminds me much more of Kong. I do like the angry look, especially if he's going to be fighting something, but I just think this more like stoic angry look to him is pretty good as well. So let's switch the heads out. So there's that head, which again, I think I just like overall that look much more, so that's probably what I'll keep on him. Just think it looks so much cooler. Now this head I do think is easier to get off because you just barely pull on it and it comes off, but it is on there, so it's not going to fall off. But if you like try and do the movements and stuff, it tends to fall off, so it's not stuck on as well. But like I said, it's not just going to fall off or anything, where this head you have to really kind of pull on it to get it off. But just think that overall for a look of Kong is so much better, so I just really like that look. Awesome to get this big figure. Like I said, I wish it just had more movements, that'd make it even cooler, but just for a big figure like this of Kong, it looks awesome. But then moving over to Batman, we just have this Batman, which I'm pretty sure we've already had before. I believe it's the Hush Batman, not 100% sure on that because we get so many Batmans, it's hard to remember what ones are what. But that's what it looks like to me, and I'll bring in one of the Hush Batmans. But looks pretty cool here, you know, just looks like a Batman. We get the gray spandex, the black cowl, and cape. We do get an angry face there, so that's pretty nice with an angry face, but of course, cape hanging off the back. We get the black glove gauntlets there on his hands, black bat logo on his chest, and black underwear with a yellow utility belt. Looks nice. Of course, gray leggings continue down as well to the black boots there on his feet. So looks pretty decent overall, but otherwise, you know, it's just a Batman. We've seen this multiple times before, so it's not that exciting. But for his movements, the head will twist all the way around, can look down that far and up that far. So really good movements. Always love when they have this sort of head design on the figure, so that's cool. Shoulders will come up to 90 with like the butterfly design and rotate around within there. With the bicep twist and the double elbow joint, that'll bend close all the way up on itself there. Wrist will twist around and flex back and forth on the ball joint there. Ab crunch, so crunch back and forth, not a whole lot, but just a little crunch and twist. And then he should be able to crunch, yeah, at the waist. Doesn't really feel like it's going to twist like it should, but it's just not letting me. Something may be stuck there. Then we get the hips that'll come up to 90 and out to the side to do the splits. A little bit of a thigh twist up in there. The double knee joint that'll bend up that far to the back, not too bad. And then down to the foot rock back and forth. Twist side to side on that ball joint, and then has the toe joint on the end. So yeah, the standard movements for the McFarlane Batman figures. So like I said, nothing really out of the ordinary there, and we have had this figure, so again, definitely nothing really surprising with that. And just to show you, here is one of the Hush Batmans. Of course, they did change up the colors, get a different head design. Of course, this was one of the different Hush Batmans. It has like the kryptonite ring there on his finger. At least, again, I'm assuming this is all Hush. I don't remember exactly, but that's my guess. So you can see some of the color differences, so they changed that, but the body and everything else should be exactly the same. But with Batman here, of course, the only real accessory comes with is the base plate to put him on, so we'll do that just to keep him standing. So he's on that, but what's really cool is we also get the 3-inch page puncher of Batman, so we can use this with Kong. So it looks cool, the little Batman. Not looked at these size figures yet, but they look pretty cool. Of course, we get the page punchers with the normal like DC figures, but they label them page punchers. But they also make these little tiny ones as well. I think they're considered 3-inch figures, but they're real small. And usually there's about 2 of them in a pack, and it comes with a comic and everything. But we get a little Batman that's supposed to be exactly the same, so just a miniature version. Now there's movements like the head will twist all the way around. We get the arms, so this has more of a 5 POA sort of design, so the arms will rotate around, but then also has the design to come out to the side that far, so that's pretty nice. You get that additional movement in there. We get a twist at the waist, so just above the belt, and then the hips will move back and forth there. So that's really all they do is front and back. No other movements in the legs though or anything. So like I said, it's about a 5 POA sort of typical figure there, but nice little figure just that we can take and put into Kong's hands, so that'll be fun to do. So speaking of that, let's go and bring Kong in. We'll see the size difference, and then we'll put the little figure in his hand. So there's the Batman in Kong's hand. So that's about all you can do. Like I said, stinks because his elbow doesn't bend or anything. You can't bring it like closer to his face. But there he is holding the little Batman. So again, that's why they included the figure with this set, just so you can fit it into his hand like that, which is pretty cool. And then here's the Batman. So you can see our normal McFarlane figures compared to the size of Kong, which is pretty big difference there. So that is pretty crazy, but looks really cool. So I definitely say Kong's got to be close to a foot tall with the size difference between the two. But overall, pretty cool for this 2-pack. Like I said, of course, the biggest thing and like the biggest star of this pack is getting the big Kong. So with all these Monsterverse figures, getting the additional big monster character is what we're going to be looking for, as opposed to our DC characters here. But just a really cool 2-pack, getting Kong versus Batman from the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. So let me know what you thought of this pack down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.